Hi there. I am
Evening.
the I am the CRM ninja. See, enthusiastic gets love them. And on today's episode of the Oops Fighter, I have Brent Dawson. Welcome to the show, Brent.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good,
I'll
thanks.
speak when it's
How's
my
you?
turn. I'll speak when it's my turn.
What can I say? We all enjoy role playing at times, don't we?
Yes, exactly. And I've always wanted to be you. So, there you go. This was my chance.
you maybe you should interview me at some point.
Uh, at some point, maybe we'll switch roles and we'll try that.
I shall look forward to it. So, for those viewers who are wondering why my head is in the middle of luscious green grass, this is not just any green grass. This is the London Golf Club, situated just outside London. And the reason why I have a golf club in my background, of golf course rather, not golf club, is because I understand that you're into golf.
I am. I am a golf crazed individual. In the summertime in Canada, so as you know, but some people don't. I have recently moved to the United Kingdom from Canada, and winters there are long and arduous and can get to be rather cold. So as soon as the golf courses open, I am one of the first in line with the clubs out at the driving range. And then after I've hit about 400 or 500 golf balls to practice and realize that I'm still shitty at the game, I will go up and play as many rounds as I can get in over the summer. And last summer, even though COVID was on, I played 68 times. So it was probably
68 times.
68 times. It was probably the most golf I played in 10 years combined. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of exercise, and it was a lot of little chats with myself when I hit the ball into the woods or to the rough or whatever. But it was a lot of exercise and a lot of fun and a lot of
Of
drinking.
course, of course, playing golf, apart from enjoying the game, you get your daily steps.
Of course, you get your daily steps. Once you get out of the golf cart to walk to the ball, and then you have to walk back to the cart, and then you get in the cart.
Oh,
So I don't
oh,
always
you
walk every course. Otherwise, I would have been not be able to play 68 times. Some courses, it's mandatory that you have to use a cart. They actually have it set timed out in such a way that you can't walk the course. So
they also
some of the
provide the
high
cart.
they will, but you have to rent it. So
Oh, that
it's
sucks.
still yeah. So even though it's like you have to take a cart out on the course, you have to pay for it. So so they get to kind of coming and going both ways. So it's all right though. So.
Yeah, I guess. So you could bring your own cart along.
You could, yeah. If you have your own, you could use your own cart as well. But
Cool. I
I
remember going
never.
down to Florida some years ago. And for those unaware of Florida, Florida has several things, including lots of old people, um, because of the sunshine and the fair weather and stuff.
Mhm.
And they get around on golf carts. So although there may not be many golf courses, you can drive past golf cart dealerships with hundreds
Yes.
and thousands of golf carts. It was quite an interesting sight to see.
If you go to Arizona, in Phoenix and Flagstaff, there are so many retired people there. They actually have lanes on the road marked specifically for golf carts.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So yeah, don't hit
Do you
one; they get really
reckon?
grumpy.
So there was a car show which was very popular in the 2000s called Pimp My Ride. Do you
Yeah,
reckon people pimp out their golf carts?
they do, and there is also professional golf cart racing where
Hold
people
on,
will
hold on.
actually
Golf carts which go at like 3 miles an hour, 5 kilometers an hour. So
that
right,
get
racing
that get bumped up to like 75, 80 miles an hour
on a golf cart.
on a golf cart.
That I hadn't heard of. I had heard of JCB racing, whereby JCB is
Yeah,
the diggers that dig up the
yeah,
road.
yeah,
There
yeah,
are some things which take those up to like 80 miles an hour
yeah.
or so, but didn't realize golf carts.
And also in the United States, they also and in some places in Canada too, they race lawnmowers. So riding mowers, they actually soup up riding mowers and get them to be 50, 60 miles an hour on those as well.
I have heard of that. I hadn't heard about golf carts. So how did you get into
Yeah.
golf to begin with?
My grandfather on my dad's side was an avid golfer, and basically when I got old enough to walk, he put a putter in my hand and said, "Just hit the ball." And so we played. We literally played in southern Saskatchewan, where I grew up, in a cow field. I mean, it was literally that's what it was. The greens were actually oiled sand, so that there was not enough water in the area to grow grass. and and nobody really tended to the course anyway. Some farmer would run his cutter up and down at the greens or the fairways once every 2 weeks just to keep it short. But he's like, yeah, here's a putter, just hit the ball. So I learned how to golf at 6 years old, just hitting the ball with the putter. And I actually got to the point where I could hit the ball off the tee pretty far with a putter. And then as I got older, I got better. But golf is the only sport or endeavor that I've ever been part of where you go from being worse than shitty in being, the goal is to be less than shitty. Right. So you start off really shitty, and then, you play, you practice, you do a few things, and then you kind of get shitty. Right. And then you start buying the really nice golf clubs and the good balls and all the rest of it. And then what you're really doing is that when you start to get actually not bad at it, then you're just less than shitty. And everybody says, well, you must be good at it. I said, no, if I was any good at it, I'd be making millions of dollars on the PGA tour. I just like half the time when I'm out there, I don't even keep score. I just go out to drink and have fun with my friends and get outside and get some air and whatnot. So, because it's about 4 hours usually for a round, depending upon, the weather and who's in front of you and all the rest of it. So it's a good time. We used to do the, also on June 21st, we used to play what was called the longest day of golf. So there was myself and 6 other guys. We would get up at like 3:30 in the morning, and we would literally tee off at the first crack of light. And we would play as many rounds of golf as we could get into that day until the sun went down.
See, I can identify with that because quite some years ago with my family, we went for a trip to Iceland in the summer when basically it doesn't really get dark. The sun goes down for a couple of hours, but it's like, so the curtains are really, really thick to ensure that you have dark rooms. And they have 2 famous golf tournaments a year. They have a lot of golf courses in around Reykjavik, which is the capital of Iceland. They have 120 something golf courses. It's crazy.
And 300,000 people. So you know how many people golf.
300,000 people and 120,000 ponies or horses. Yeah. So we know what people do in their spare time. But the first of the 2 tournaments is they tee off at midnight when the sun is basically just below the horizon, and they play throughout the day until they get tired. And the second one is in midwinter, where they tee off at midday and they use glow-in-the-dark golf balls.
Yeah, because it doesn't snow that much, so they still have enough ground. They do the same thing in northern Canada, up in Yellowknife and the Yukon as well. They have like 24 hours of golf, or as long as the sun is up, they get like 22 hours of the day. It's always no darker than dusk kind of thing, right? So there's always sunlight in the summertime. Wintertime, obviously, it goes blacker than black, and then you can't see anything. So, mind you, the difference between Iceland and the Yukon and Northwest Territories is about 70 degrees Celsius. So you can play golf in the wintertime in Iceland and still be comfortable, whereas in the north you'd get eaten by a polar bear.
Quite true. Quite true. So going from golf and hitting things with sticks to the Oops Factor, what do you have to share with us today?
So I have an interesting story. I've been okay. So my birthday is in less than 2 weeks. So 12th of May, I'll be 50. I've been in IT for 34 years. I started when I was 17. I've been a trainer for Microsoft for 24 years, and I've lived in 3 different countries now: Canada, US, and the UK. I lived in the US in 1999 and was doing a bunch of work for different consulting companies, doing training, doing presentations and stuff like that. And so Canada and the United States had an agreement called the North American Free Trade Agreement. And in it was something called a T1 visa. Yeah, NAFTA. Yeah. And so in it was something called the T1 agreement, where if you had certain professional skills and that sort of stuff, you could get a visa for a year at a time to go and work in the US without any issues with, passports and all that other sort of stuff. And it worked both ways. Anyways, so I was living down there, and I was doing some work, and I had met a nice young lady she was a bit older than me, but anyways, we decided to, get together, and we moved in, and I was still young enough and foolish. Now I'm just foolish. But I was young and foolish at the time. And so we moved in together, and I was traveling almost all the time for work and all that sort of stuff. And I found out subsequently that she basically had used me as her bank account. and you know, at one point decided, you know, what's the best way to break up with somebody? I know, I'll have the U.S. government do it. So when my work visa, my T1 visa, was about to expire, I had to drive back to Canada, back to the border to renew it, because you got to do it at a border crossing. So I went to drive back up, and I was 1 day too late on my work visa. In the meantime, she had called U.S. Immigration and said, "Hey, he's working here illegally." And so when I
Oh
got
my
there,
gosh.
I got pulled into the little metal room, you know, with the little table and the metal toilet and stuff in the corner. And I got interrogated for about 2 hours. You know, what are you doing? Why are you doing? All the rest of it. At which point I was arrested by U.S. Immigration and sent to immigration jail in Seattle, because I was trying to cross into the United States illegally. I was trying to basically, you know, claim one thing and do something else. Even though I had the legal paperwork to show that I could do it, they're like, "Well, who are you working for?" And I said, "I work for X. What do you do?" And I said, "Well, X sends me out as a consultant and a trainer to go and do." "Well, do these companies sponsor you?" And I went, "No, I work for this company." "Oh, well, they have to sponsor you. Every place you work at has to sponsor you." I said, "But the rule says that whoever pays you has to sponsor you." "Yeah, that's not how it works."
They don't like that when you start quoting their own rules back to them and
exactly.
Work.
So it was about that time when they basically said, "Okay, you know, clip. The problem is that when you get arrested at the Canada-U.S. border, you don't get sent directly to Seattle to go to immigration jail. You get arrested by the closest county to the border, which at the time was Whatcom County. So I actually spent 4 different nights in 4 different county jails till I got to Seattle, when I was transferred to immigration jail. 3 days later, I had my hearing. The judge said, "Yeah, goodbye, go away," and I was deported. And they just drove me to the U.S.-Canada border and said, "Don't ever come back." And that was in 2000. And so that was
I'm assuming you've never been back.
Never been back. I was actually supposed to go to present at a conference, and I had to fly through Houston. And so because I wasn't allowed in, I had to go down to the U.S. Immigration, and I had to fill out special paperwork, and I had to give them $700 US for them to process the paperwork and whatever. I handed the guy the money. I handed the guy the form. He literally stamped it, "Denied." Didn't even look at it, just went, "Denied."
Whoa.
And I said, "Are you not?" He said, "No, I don't have to. Go away." Right. So
Ouch.
so that was, I'm like, after that, the U.S. government and I have a huge hate on for each other. Right. So I've never been back. I've never tried to go back. I honestly don't really care. There's a lot more of the world, which is why I moved to the UK. There's a lot more of the world to see than there is, you know, just the United States. And and that's actually, to be honest, that's one of the reasons I left Canada, because I found that it's starting to become Americanized too much, and it's not recognizable as the country I grew up in, and especially when you get further west. And I just didn't like it. So even if I wouldn't move to the, go ahead.
Go on.
I was going to say, even if I didn't move to the UK, I was going to move to one of the East Coast provinces like Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, something like that. But it's just there's parts of Canada that think that they belong to the United States, and it's really quite funny, to be honest, and it's sad, to be honest, to see the lack of education that some people in our my old country, which is kind of funny, my old country have. Because I actually heard a friend of mine who's an RCMP officer was telling me that he was arresting somebody, and the guy kept resisting arrest because he kept yelling that "you have to read me my rights." And my friend is like, "What do you mean I have to read you your rights?" He goes, "You have to read me my rights. That's the same. They show it on every television show that you have to be read your rights before you can be arrested." And he's like, "Dude, you're in the wrong country for that, man. You got to get your facts straight, right?" Or people that plead, you know, "Oh, I'm going to plead the Fifth Amendment and not incriminate myself." Sorry, that doesn't exist here. "Well, you know, I can own a gun." No, the Second Amendment doesn't apply. So people, like, they just don't, they're educated, or they don't care, or, you know, whatever it is. But it's those things that just make me stand there and shake my head and go, like, why is this happening? It shouldn't be happening.
It can be amusing. I studied abroad, not in America, in a very different country to America for a while. We had Americans there as well, and one of them couldn't understand why the local corner shop didn't speak American and didn't accept US dollars. And I had to explain to this person, who gave a quite privileged background in America, that the reason why is because it's not only a different country with a different culture and different language, different currency, but it was an actual different continent. So it was amusing. But we are very, very lucky and very thankful now to have you in the UK with us, and we hope you will stay here for as long as you can.
I don't plan on leaving before I retire, which is in hopefully 12 years. But no, I love it. I love it here so far. Like I said, I've been here basically 2 months. I should have done it 10 years ago, but I really appreciate the comment, and I love it here. So I'm very much looking forward to it.
So in terms of obviously working in different countries, what would I mean, I can think of several important pieces of advice, but what would your piece of advice be to people who may be traveling for business?
Don't lie at the border, whatever you do. If you're going in as a paid consultant or as a representative of a company, be completely honest with the guys at the border crossing, because if you lie once, it'll track you for the rest of your life. In my case, I wasn't lying, but it was just one of those situations that I ended up with the wrong guy at the wrong day, and he just decided that he was gonna be Mr. Big, and I paid for it, right? But I know lots of people that they'll lie their way into the country, and that's all well and good until the first time you get caught, and then after that, it's forget it. You're on the blacklist for life, and they'll strip you apart. And it doesn't. And I'm not even talking just going to the U.S. I'm talking going to any country. Last year, when I went to Ignite in Prague and Copenhagen, when I got to customs in Prague, I was brutally honest. I looked at it and I said, "I'm one of the speakers here." I had all the paperwork, everything with me. They looked it up, down, right, and they're like, "Are you getting paid?" And I said, "Nope." And they went, "Okay, fine," and that sort of thing. But yeah, if you're going to do work for somebody and you don't have the proper paperwork or the proper visa or whatever else, just say no. You know what? Send somebody else that's willing to take the risk, because your livelihood isn't worth it. It really
Very true. Very true. Some very powerful lessons there, Brent. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing them.
You're welcome. Take care. Thank you.
No problem. Viewers, we hope that you enjoyed the story, and also for those in the UK are looking forward to seeing Brent in person if you haven't yet seen him as he tours the UK. Feel free to take a look at the rest of the Oops Factor playlist, subscribe to the channel, and take a look at the blog. And if you would like to come on the show and share your own Oops Factor story, hit the link in the description below, fill in your details, and I'll drop you a line. But above all, have a wonderful day.